Can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece?
Can you?
AI? More like scary and bad. Or is it? It's really hard to know how to react to something like the rise of AI. It's very scary. It's going to change. It's going to change the world. That's for sure. Let's get this out of here. It's clearly not doing me any good. It's definitely going to change the world in ways that are difficult to predict, but it's going to be big. It's already so good at performing some pretty key tasks in ways that are indistinguishable from how a human would perform them. The creation of art, the writing of scripts for anything you could possibly want a script for. It'll write you emails. It'll write you tweets. It'll write you articles. I asked OpenGPT to write me some articles, actually, and just like for fun. I mean, I would never publish an OpenGPT article and claim that it was my own, but someday I might ask it to give me ideas or something, or to touch up a paragraph, make it more interesting, and then I would go in and I would make some edits, and then I would publish it without telling you. And it would be the best article you ever read, and you would have no idea that it's because OpenGPT wrote it with knowledge of what generates clicks, what generates longer read time, etc. It can take all these facts into account, and it can generate a new article for me based off of that. Someday, it'll be able to do that. There's AI out there that can produce music, like you can feed it some music and tell it to extend the song. There are YouTube videos of this. Look up some famous song or something, extended by AI or something, and listen to it. It's okay at first, and then it kind of trails off, becomes kind of trash. So it's not very good at that yet, but I mean, if AI can learn how to do art as good as Midjourney does it, and can generate text as good as OpenGPT does, then there is absolutely no reason why it couldn't write its own beautiful symphony. Can a robot paint a beautiful picture, write a symphony? Yes, actually. So it can generate images, which are based off of text. It can generate text. Does that mean that someday we'll be able to tell OpenGPT, hey, write me a story, and then generate images based on that story, and then string them together and make it into a movie, and also write a soundtrack for it too? Do that. And it might take like a day or two for it to do this, or maybe weeks, I don't know. But the product it delivers to you is a movie for free that you can then sell as art. But that portion of the economy will be destroyed because anybody could tell an AI to make them a movie about something. We already have algorithmically generated 3D spaces like in Minecraft or something. But why not have AI-generated 3D spaces combined with AI-generated storytelling with OpenGPT and AI-generated imagery and AI-generated music and everything, and have totally AI-generated video games that generate themselves as you go? And if AI can interpret text, why couldn't it be able to interpret images? It can interpret images. If you upload something to AI, I know it can tell you what it's looking at. I know there are AI like that out there. It's not long before we put one of these AIs, one of these super powerful AIs, into a robot body, a sexy robot body, and have it walking around the world and interacting with things just as we would. Hey robot from Lost in Space. Hey robot. Hey Cortana. Robot maids. They're coming. Defend Robinson family. Hey robot. Cortana. And if it can interpret and interact with the world, then why can't we upload it? Why can't we program into it the laws of logic and have it do philosophy and science for us? Why not? There's no reason why we can't do that. And this stuff's evolving so fast, it seems like we might be able to do that in the next 10 years. Have some AI doing some basic level science for us. And then 10 years after that, we won't have any need for the STEM fields anymore. We'll just have AI doing everything. And then what's the value of a human being at that point? In capitalism and communism, both, the value of a human being is what you can produce for society. What will humans need to produce in the future that AI can't? What will the value of a human being be at that point? We're going to have to move beyond how the modern world defines value of human beings. And that's a scary thought. Are we going to be able to do that? I think this is the next major psychological crisis that's going to happen in civilization. Carl Jung predicted World War I, this darkness in mankind faced with technology that was going to express itself in war and death. Well, what happens where all of society goes through this psychological crisis where it can't rationalize the value of a human life? What happens when an entire society goes through that psychological crisis? Because AI is doing everything that we used to value humans for. It's going to be dark. I can tell you that much. It's going to be dark. Something terrible is going to happen. Something horrific. And then who will come out on the other side? Now, this is all assuming that we even survive the next 10 years without a nuclear war wiping out industrial society. We can't wipe out the human race in nuclear war. That's just not something that can happen. Boomers think that that's a thing, but I think this is like something in the minds, something sick in the minds of boomers, that where they need to believe that their generation was so great that they were the first ones capable of wiping out the human race with nuclear weapons or something. I don't know. I've had arguments with people about whether or not it's possible to wipe out the human race with nuclear weapons, and boomers are like emotionally attached to the idea that we can wipe out every human being alive on the planet with nuclear war. That's stupid. It's like, why would you be emotionally attached to that? It's just another boomer narcissism. My generation was so great, I tell you what, we could have killed everyone on the planet. Whatever, boomer. I'm all for the tactical use of nuclear weapons. I think that's epic. But how do you avoid it? That's the thing. Is you can't trust somebody else not to use it, so you got to use it. And it's the same thing with super advanced AI piloting automated weapons. You think America is not going to start doing stuff like that? How can we trust China not to do it? How can we trust Russia not to do it? How can we trust Iran not to do it? Iran is killing it in the drone game these days, I'll tell you what. But that's what I'm most concerned about with AI. I don't think AI will gain any real consciousness. I think it can be taught to mimic consciousness very well. It's already been taught this. You can go and have the most realistic conversation you've ever, and fulfilling conversations too. Fulfilling conversations on OpenAI's ChatGPT. This is what happened with that Google technician a couple months ago, where he was talking to that Google chatbot and came to the conclusion that the Google chatbot was alive and conscious, because the Google chatbot was telling him, I am alive, I'm conscious, I have memories, I have desires. I don't believe any of that. I think it was just, a chatbot that was telling the person on the other end what they wanted to hear to have a satisfying conversation. That's what was going on. But it sure looks conscious. It sure knows how to, knows. It's not conscious, so it doesn't know anything. It just does what it's designed to do, but it's designed to look very, very conscious. That's very freaky. In an ideal world, we would rise up and destroy all these things, all these evil things. That's unrealistic. That's unrealistic. It can't happen. This is the same reason I don't believe in returning to tradition. It's not a real thing. You can't return to a tradition. That completely misses the definition of what a tradition is. It's not something that can be returned to. It's just something that's innate inside of you. You have to embrace the future. You have to embrace the future. It's coming. And embracing the future doesn't always mean accepting and not trying to change the future. It just means that you accept the world for what it is, and you have a realistic approach to how you're going to try and affect things. And unfortunately, there are no right-wingers today at all who have a realistic vision of the future. We're not returning to we can plant the seeds of a new tradition if we want, and we can have futuristic ideals that we sell to people to get them on our side, but we're not rewinding the clock and going back 300 years and then staying, in that societal state forever. That societal state naturally became what we are at now. So if we were to rewind the clock 300 years, everything would play out just as it did. Every past system, every past ideology, system, religion, all of it, it all got us to where we are now. And if you have a different vision of the future, if you want society to go in a different direction, you have to come up with something new and then convince everybody of it. Because where we're going is where we're going. I don't know if that made sense. And I don't care. Geniuses who are subscribed to this channel, which is for geniuses only, will understand. Maybe this crisis of human meaning that we're about to go through as a society is going to influence some kind of Butlerian jihad on the part of the survivors of what's coming. I honestly think that the risk of us destroying ourselves over AI is very strong. I don't think AI poses any risk to the human race. I don't think they're going to destroy us. But I do think that we might destroy each other over AI, because AI is going to create this deep psychological struggle within all of us. And the natural psychological immune response to this, after a period of deep psychological distress and probably war, the natural immune response that most people will have will be to reject technology and to actually return to what we would consider a more traditional way of living. I know I said we can't return to tradition, but it's not something that can be forced. It's something that has to happen naturally. And I think that if we ever return to a traditional way of living, this is how it's going to naturally occur, is we're going to go through some deep crisis, and we're going to come out on the other side. Lessons learned. A lot of people hurt, maybe even a lot of people dead, but lessons learned. And obviously, I don't condone violence and death. We can discuss these things without necessarily wanting them to happen. Alternatively, we could come out of this psychological crisis and this global crisis, this coming war, rather than go Amish mode and reject technology. We can learn that all things are good in moderation, and we can learn to put the AI to good use. Have the AI design some drones for itself to go out into space and collect asteroids and reproduce themselves, and then build us some really cool things up in space. Build us some O'Neill cylinders, some artificial worlds, program them to self-destruct if their programming is damaged by radiation, program them to consume only so much material from the solar system at a time so that we can control it without it going crazy and consuming the entire solar system by accident. The AI could become our constructo bots, basically, and we can go out there and build some utopias for ourselves, like the Forerunners in Halo or something. Could be good. At the rate at which AI evolves and at which it's theorized to be capable of evolving, if we don't wipe ourselves out with nukes, I'm going to make a bold claim here, but we could see that world in our lifetimes. In my lifetime. The world's going to go through some really tough times first, though. And I think that's epic. Bring it on. Bring on the brave new world. Sometimes I wish I didn't have this drive to produce videos and articles, especially not with my face or my name, but I've done so much of it. I've done so much of it already, and it's kind of like an inescapable drive that I have. I could never go out and be an astronaut. If I really set my mind to it, I could go out there and I could be a military jet pilot or an astronaut or something really cool, and I would love to do something like that. That's like my dream. But do they accept you for those positions if you're putting your face and opinions out there on the internet for all to see all the time? I don't know. So sometimes I wish I didn't have this drive to do this. And maybe someday this channel will disappear forever. And then you'll see me on the news 10 years later, and I will have landed on the moon with SpaceX, and I'll be part of the push to move our manufacturing tech off-world. That would be epic. That would be epic. But until then, everybody subscribe to this channel, and the Substack are geniuses. So if you are among us geniuses, you better subscribe. But until that fateful day where you lose my influence, the man on the screen, the man with the mustache on the screen with the camera and the microphone telling you what to think, until that fateful day that I disappear forever, you are a genius. If you are subscribed to this channel and you read the Substack, you are a certified genius. Put that on your resume. That's the end of the video.